Channel 11 presents Talk It. Ellen Adelstein.
Hello. This evening, my guests are a couple that just arrived in Tucson from Iran. They're Jean and Frank Sheridan, and Frank is a captain in the United States Air Force, and Jean lived in Iran with Frank and their 5 children while all the trouble was going on. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I think everybody is totally mystified as to just how all of a sudden our good friends in Iran suddenly now hate us. What happened over there?
Well, I don't really think they really hate us, and I think most of the people that are over there, the average person, they're still quite good friends. I know probably the best friends that we have are still over there, are local Iranian citizens, and they're just a fabulous group of people. But I think politically, the American State Department, the American government, if you will, possibly made some mistakes, or they did things maybe differently than they might have done them. And I think that's part of the problem that we've got with the Iranians over there now.
Well, we can talk about that later on in the show. Right now, I would like to ask you, Jean, what type of house did you have? And you had 5 kids over there?
Oh, yes. Well, we only had one over there.
One was born over there.
Yes.
We had 5 children.
But you had them living with you.
Sure.
Right.
Yes, so you were in a foreign country with the day-to-day life with 5 children. What type of house did you live in?
Oh, we had a big, beautiful house. The houses over there are about how big?
We had probably 4,000-foot house, 4,000 square feet, and was big, beautiful marble house, 6 bedrooms.
2 basements.
2 basements.
Yes,
Yeah, 2
one
basements.
accessible from the inside and one you had to go outside to get to.
It had servants' quarters in the basements. We didn't have any servants as such, but they were there. For whoever built the house had them. Swimming pool in the backyard, fruit trees in the backyard, just like you always dream about living.
Beautiful house.
How much did this cost a month?
$14,000.
$1,400 would be what it would
$1,400.
equate to in U.S. currency. We didn't have to pay it. When I say we didn't have to pay it, everything above what would be considered normal cost of rent in the States was paid by the Iranian government. And so I paid out of my pocket the same as I would have paid if I was living downtown Tucson. So we lived quite well.
But then what happened? You lived there for how long?
About a year. A
Year,
little over a year.
yes, Jean was there a year and a month, and I was there about a year and 3 months.
And what happened? Did you start to get uneasy? Did you start to...
Never got uneasy.
Jean
I
never
didn't.
gave
I
up.
wasn't there when all the bad things went on. They encouraged us, or they gave us an option to leave around Christmas time. And I didn't really want to go, but since our place had been bombed, they figured I should leave. And they wanted to get all the dependents out so that in case something happened, they would just have the men. And they wouldn't have to worry about getting the
The
children
military
out.
gave us the option, and it was still an option. It wasn't a direction. They told us that we could have our dependents leave, and they strongly recommended it. And
All night long, they strongly recommended
I had
it.
to convince Jean. It took me till probably about 10 o'clock at night, the night before she left, to convince her that she should leave.
Only if you would go with me
Yeah, the
would I leave.
contingent that she left on was only if I would accompany her. And up until when we actually left, I didn't know whether I'd be able to go or not. The last airplane that left, that was the 9th of December, the last airplane that left had 36 people on it and 146 seats. So I was allowed to go. Had there been more people to go, I probably wouldn't have been able to accompany her. But as it was, I got to go with her and help her with the kids and the luggage and all that. It's quite a trip.
What were you allowed to take out?
One hand carried,
Right.
one piece of luggage per person.
We could have taken more, but we didn't know because we left Iran in a military aircraft. But once we hit Europe, we might have to go commercial, and then you're only allowed one.
Yeah, the overseas rate, you know, you're only allowed 20 kilos when you travel international per
But
person.
it wasn't a restriction of the government or
No.
anything like that.
Anything you could carry, you could take.
It was just airline restrictions
Right.
like we all face.
Sure.
But ordinarily, when you leave a base, doesn't the United States government ship your things?
Absolutely. We shipped over there approximately 11,000 pounds of household goods, everything we owned. And that was 13 of the overseas packing crates that we sent over. And we're getting back 1. So
One of them is making it for
one,
sure.
one,
Well,
we
it
don't know
might not
what's
be
in
full.
it yet, but we're getting 1 crate back.
Did the government pack that for you, or
I packed it myself before I left.
before you left?
But they were opening them and checking them, so
customs
Who
over
knows
there
what's
are
in
being
there?
very, very thorough, and there's an awful lot of people getting their finger in the pie, and not necessarily the customs people. Everybody wants to look and see what the Americans are shipping back home. And like, I don't know, I had some Persian carpets in the box I shipped. I'm hoping I get them back, but I won't
The
promise it.
brass.
We ship mostly things that we couldn't replace in the States. That's what I tried to get out. Just before things really got bad, they allowed us being the U.S. military, they allowed us to ship out one crate. They call it a 1,000-pound shipment, but 196 cubic foot crate, and then they allowed us to send 500 pounds by mail. And I shipped out all our pictures and, you know, mementos and things like that, just personal stuff. And then in the crate, I tried to put in all the things that we had gotten while we were in Iran.
And your father's paintings and
My
stuff
father's
like that.
paintings, things that I couldn't replace.
Were your children frightened?
No. Except for the night they threw the bomb, they were a little nervous.
What happened the night they threw the bomb?
I was in the States at the time.
Yeah.
I had gone back to the States, taking 2 Iranian officers back to the States for a school. So I wasn't even in the country at the time it happened. And you tell the story.
Well, we were just straightening up, and my son was in the living room, and we heard a crash, and I went running in to see what it was. It sounded like furniture banging against the window. And David came out, and he says, "Somebody just threw a bomb at us."
My oldest son,
Yeah.
it was a Molotov cocktail type device, and they threw 2. One of them, there are walls around the houses in Iran. That's the normal construction. And one of the bombs hit the top of the wall, and it broke there and burned on the wall. And we had bars on all the windows, which not because we were Americans, but everybody over there, that's the way all the houses are built. And the other bomb hit the bar on the window and broke and burned on the front of the building, but it didn't break the glass into the living room.
Exploded.
I mean, we were very, very fortunate, because had it gone into the living room, you know, it would have burned, well, my son, who was in the living room.
Yeah, because they're big picture windows, huge. The house
just
is
all
all
across the
picture
front.
window.
Yeah.
And the back is all sliding glass doors.
How old was his son? Is his-
12.
He was 12 at the time. He's 13 now.
How did he react to that?
I didn't realize until after we got home that he was afraid.
He was petrified.
I mean, really, we didn't really think about it. We went and my big fear was that our telephone would go out because our phones never worked. So I went and called a friend and told him not to get nervous, but what I thought had happened, and if I couldn't call them, to call in, because sometimes people could call us, but we couldn't call out. And so then he notified all the people that needed to be notified for me.
How long did it take you to leave with the country, actually, in physical time, waiting for the airplanes?
See, we went down there at what, about 8 or 9 o'clock in the
9
morning?
o'clock in the morning.
And we sat there and waited to find out which bus we were going on. And then about 5 o'clock we left the parking lot in convoy.
We had to
to go
drive
to
all
the-
the way across the city. The
go to the
Mehrabad airport is on the other side of the city from where we lived. So it was about 6 o'clock by the time we got on the bus, and it was probably 7:30 before she actually left the airport. She left on a military aircraft, C-141.
Did they have any provisions to feed the families or anything?
What did you
During,
have
I
on
mean,
here
you were
right
there all day long.
Oh, no. We were told
We were
the
there
night
all day
before to come and to bring something with us to eat.
I see.
And we assembled at the commissary, which is like a supermarket.
And the commissary was
And the
open
commissary
for
was
us.
open so we could run in and buy
But
snacks
nobody
and
was
things.
thinking about eating or what time or how fast time was going.
It's surprising how many things like that you just totally ignore in
Ignore.
the situation.
Oh, I was
All
just
right.
wondering if you could go. That's all I cared about.
Well.
And if you couldn't go, I didn't want to go.
Well, we can't ignore time any longer. We need to take a commercial, and we'll be losing Jean at this point because they have a little 10-month-old, and she's going to go back and get him, but Frank will stay with us, and you do too.